Springfield police call them an essential tool for solving crimes, but a growing number of residents want high-tech license plate readers out of their town.
Western Mass News reporter Patrick Fergus joins us now live in Springfield with the latest on residents' concerns and how police say the tool has helped them.
Chris and Amanda, more and more people are noticing these black cameras like the one behind me and that capture your license plate and are used by law enforcement. Now, many citizens think that it's a security that's gone too far. A petition which posted this week to the West Springfield Community Forum calls for the removal of any flock cameras in the town. Now at over 100 signatures, some comments in support of the petition say things such as these cameras are a bad idea, can be so invasive and used far beyond the purpose they say they are for. Another one says, remove flock, stop tracking us and violating our Fourth Amendment rights. Now, we did reach out to the author of the petition who wasn't available to comment. We also reached out to West Springfield officials about concerns over the surveillance, but we have not heard back at this time. So we reached out to Springfield police, who have been using flock cameras for 3 years. They tell us the technology is only used during investigations to track the movements of a car suspected of being involved in a crime across the city.
It leads us to the recovery of stolen vehicles very quickly, from kidnappings, Amber Alerts, Silver Alerts, those types of incidents. It would be immensely helpful. It's helped us find some missing adults. It's helped in sexual assault cases as well. Anytime a vehicle is involved, it can help immensely.
He also addressed concerns over how the collected information is shared, saying that they only share with local agencies for an investigation, but not at a national level. According to the ACLU of Massachusetts, at least 80 towns and cities are using flock or similar license plate reading technology, but not all are sticking with it. In East Hampton recently, they cut their funding for flock cameras and are currently removing them across town. For now, reporting live in Springfield, Patrick Fergus, Western Mass News.